Good evening. Prior to us coming back to order, I'd like to refer anyone who needs translation service to Ms. Paula Balbuena, our translator.
Thank you, President Brown. Buenas tardes, habla Paula Balbuena. Si necesita servicios de interpretación al español, por favor, llame al 1805-324-7680 e ingrese el código de acceso 293-85909 más la tecla numeral. Este es un número totalmente gratis. Nuevamente, llame al número de teléfono 1805-324-7680 e ingrese el código de acceso 293-85909 más la tecla numeral. También puede acceder a estas instrucciones en nuestro sitio web mcs4kids.com dirigiéndose hacia la parte de abajo, haciendo clic en Quick Links y nuevamente haciendo clic en Board Agendas para ver la agenda de esta noche. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Balbuena. Let's see, welcome to the Modesto City Schools regular board meeting of August 14th, 2023. This meeting is now called to order. And closed session, the board gave direction to staff. We would like to take roll first by introducing our student board representative, Ms. Jifa Ukwaye. And calling roll.
Here.
The trustee Daly.
Present.
Trustee Lopez. Present. Trustee Maestas.
Present.
Trustee Marks.
Present.
Trustee Mejia.
Here.
Vice President Irvin.
Present.
And I'm President Brown. We're all present and accounted for. We'd now like to invite you to join us for a moment of silence. So please stand. Thank you. So good evening, everyone. This open session meeting of the Board of Trustees is being live streamed at the direction of the board. The live stream is available on the district's website, and the recordings will be available for viewing the day after the board meeting. Modesto City Schools has provided an opportunity for the public to provide comments. It is outlined public comments received via email or voicemail following the posting of the board agenda and prior to noon the day of the board meeting will not be read aloud but have been transcribed and printed with copies provided to each board member prior to the start of the board meeting and are available to the public. The voice and email public comments will be attached to a future board meeting minutes for approval. This practice will continue until further notice. For members of the public that are interested in commenting in the future, we always welcome your comments. If you wish to address the board during the period for public comment on a subject that is not on the agenda, you must complete a public presentation request card and submit it to the board president prior to the period for public comment. If you need assistance from our translator, please indicate so on the request card. Every person who wishes to address the board is requested to please fill out a card. You'll find the cards in the lobby, and you can hand those comment cards to Ms. Chambers in the back of the room. I also want to remind you that if you wish to make a complaint against a specific district employee, you should follow the district's personnel complaint procedure. Copies of that procedure are available in the lobby, as are agenda copies, which outline the procedures we will observe during the period for public comment. The right to address the board does not exempt the speaker from any potential liability for defamation. If you plan to speak on a topic, please fill out a card now, as no cards will be accepted after the period for public comment has begun. Maximum time for any one speaker is 3 minutes, for a total not to exceed 30 minutes. Optional, No need for the optional comment at this time. I'd like to ask now that you join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. We're pleased to welcome two students from Ensland Elementary School to lead us in the flag salute tonight. As I read your name, would you please stand? Maggie Foy. Maggie is a first grader, is an excellent role model at school. During her kindergarten year, she achieved perfect attendance. It's Maggie's goal to have perfect attendance again this year. She is excited to join chorus and participate in student council. Maggie enjoys singing, dancing, and spending time with her parents preparing for opening day at the Modesto Children's Museum. Following college, Maggie would like to be a veterinarian or to perform as a rockette. Also, we have fifth grader John Riley. John is an outstanding scholar. He is looking forward to becoming a member of the Traffic Safety Patrol and a student council representative. John is eager to join the Million Word Club and read over 1 million words this school year. He enjoys playing hockey, soccer, and baseball. Following college, John would like to be a professional race car driver. It's great to have students back with us in the boardroom, and please stand and follow our students' lead for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Right hand on your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, and indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now I'd like to turn the time over to Dr. Noguchi for her welcome and announcements.
Perfect. Thank you, President Brown. Good evening, and thank you all for coming out this evening, and those that are tuning in. I have to say, this last week we had an excellent opening of schools. Just this last week, we opened up 33 schools, and I have to say it went with very few complaints and very few glitches. In fact, at 2:30 in the afternoon, I actually called Mr. Zerley to say, hey, are you working? Usually by that time, I'd already heard about something with nutrition, something with HVAC, something with the bus, something along the way. But this year, we really had a great opening, and we're going to have a presentation a little bit later. For those of you who follow us on social media, you'll see that we had a lot of activities, lots of bands and cheerleaders and balloons and entryways, and a lot of kids doing celebrations in the yard. I do want to say thank you to Linda Mumalazario and her team for the great pictures and the great posting. It's a lot to open schools and still keep up with everything, especially since we've got 33 schools and lots of schools want stuff posted. So I know that there was a lot of work in that regard, so thank her and her team. I also want to share a thank you to our M&O and technology services. We have a tremendous amount of construction going on in the district right now, large-scale construction, but we also have small-scale construction. In other words, just pathways and HVAC systems and fountains, and we're adding a lot of watering stations and many things. And I have to say, for the last 2 weekends, I know that the team has been working through Sundays, working to ensure that our schools are up and running. So I want to give a big thank you to Roger Orth and his team, and under the supervision and support of Mr. Zerley. Also, technology services, there's a lot of computers that you have to boot up that have been put away for the summer, and lots of passwords that have been forgotten. So I want to thank you to Russ Sulkin and his team. They've been out both Saturdays doing a help desk and allowing for parents and community and students to come up and drive up and get their computers rolling, and that goes for staff as well. So thank you to both teams and many teams. We'll talk about that in our presentation, but thank you for just going the extra mile. The very last thank you, I do want to remember to share this. I know there are a lot of teachers out there that spent the last couple weeks of their summer making sure that their bulletin boards were just so, or their carpets were just so, or their books, or whatever, the decorations, and just ensuring that there's welcoming environments. I have a daughter-in-law that is spending the last 2 weeks doing the same thing. She's in Elk Grove and doesn't start to school till the end of the month, and literally is spending hours making sure that environment is where it needs to be. And I know here in Modesto City, we had the same thing. So thank you goes out to all the teachers and administrators that work to ensure that we have a positive environment. So thank you. With that, I'm going to turn it over to President Brown. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Noguchi. Next, we have reports from the Board of Education members. Do I have anyone who would like to report? I see Trustee Daly.
I'm never the first one to go on. So it actually has been a busy, I can't remember, I lost track with summer when we were here last. I feel like I'm kind of out of the loop. So we did our bus tour and saw a lot of different things that were going on with the schools. I was really excited to see the groundbreaking for El Vista and the changes in the office. That was really interesting. At the end of that, I guess traditionally, a tour of nutrition services is offered, and I was the only one, so I got a nice private tour of the nutrition services, and I was absolutely amazed. I've worked in kitchens and have seen some of those equipments on much smaller scales. I couldn't imagine the work that it takes to go in every day doing that, sometimes starting as early as 4 in the morning. So the fact that we're gonna, I guess, talk about it for summer school and everything that went in, like they went through the whole school year and then into summer school. I was really impressed with that. Had the opportunity to meet with the Modesto Teacher Association. We were invited to their breakfast and got to talk to and meet a few different teachers, some kindergarten teachers, second grade teachers, a new high school teacher that's going in. So there's a lot of information and in a different environment to be able to do a breakfast and have it be more natural. And then also got to enjoy the first day of school with Orville Wright and the kids there. I took a picture with the plane, the vice principal or administrative assistant. Principal, okay. Dressed up as an airplane for Orville Wright. So it was totally adorable, and their balloon had airplanes on it. It was really wonderful. And then to spend a little bit of time as they were trying to make sure all the kids had their classrooms and they knew where to go, had some students checking in. They had it down. It was amazing. They knew exactly what they were doing. They knew where everybody needed to go, and I was extremely impressed with the staff. And then went out to the blacktop and did some training in reference to the school and appropriate behavior, and got to see, I can't remember what it is called, but there's a conflict resolution where the kids can stand together face to face and go through this. It's on the blacktop. Go through this conflict resolution with each other so the students can actually solve their problems rather than having the adults. So that was absolutely exciting for myself. So I really appreciate everybody and what we've done, what I've done over the last couple of weeks, and I really thank you for that.
Thank you. Trustee Maestas.
Thank you. Yeah, the first, I got to do some of the first day of school stuff, and I know we're going to talk about that today, but I got to visit Lakewood and Sonoma, and my son's now in high school. He's a freshman, and yeah, there's a little bit of that clapping, but he's still a freshman. Traffic, what? I didn't realize how crazy traffic is for high school. So, but I definitely realize it now. But the big thing is that all to see my kids come home smiling every day in the first week of school and still be invested and really excited about school. That says a lot about the teachers, the admin, and the nutrition services, the custodial staff, everybody, the front office, everybody that gets ready for the first week, first day of school. I appreciate all of their work, because it's just a joy being able to see my kids coming home every day. So much so that my daughter is spending like 2 hours after school at the Boys and Girls Club, or an hour and a half, 2 hours, not because she has to, just because she wants to. So we let her go, and she enjoys spending the time over there. So that's a great program as well. Little bit of business. I attended the CIFA and MS CIFA meeting. We learned about some updates on some new communities and how those are affecting our bonds. So we got some information on that. And it was our very first MS CIFA, which was kind of neat to have our first one. So we got those things rolling. So it'll be nice to see this money start really getting to our projects. That's it.
Thank you. Vice President Irvin.
Yes, I also attended the CIFA and MS CIFA meetings, and feels the Mello-Roos that'll be coming in. I know people don't like to hear the word Mello-Roos, but Mello-Roos sure does wonders for education. So it's good to be at those meetings this year. Also attended the hugely successful and a lot of folks, a lot of backpacks. Think we gave out 1,000 backpacks over there at Marshall Park, and the lines just seemed it was like endless. I was like, oh my goodness, are we at a Taylor Swift concert? They waiting to get in or what? It was a never-ending line. It was good to see all of the students come through there with the parents to receive some donated backpacks. My hat's off to Mady Herrera and her team over there. They did a great job organizing that and keeping the line moving in that very, very hot day. So really appreciate their crew. Also, went on a camping trip this weekend, and 8 of the 10 boys that I took on our mentoring camping trip for Project Uplift are Modesto City School students, elementary through high school. One goes to one of our feeder schools, and the other one was from Stockton. And we went to Anthony Chabot Regional Park, camped out there, had a really good time. There were 45 students from Oakland, Elk Grove, Sacramento, and Vallejo. We had a great time. Students got along, did team building. We did some life skills workshops with them, and they did presentations on traits, character traits, or we just call them personal traits, such as academics, brotherhood, determination, and I'm leaving out one. It's probably the most important one, but it was very interesting to see what they thought about academics and what academics meant to them. And so those presentations were they were broken up into groups, and they got a chance.
Was just trustee.
Oh,
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I'm trustee.
okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just real quick, I wanted to echo what trustee Irvin mentioned, the backpack event we had about a week and a half ago now. Really great turnout. Thank you to all the parents that came out, all the students, all the resources that were there. It was a great, it was just a great event. Thank you to Mady for her efforts and all her team. We had some of our cabinet up there giving a Little Caesars, so really great event. And that's my thing for tonight. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, trustee. And trustee Marks.
Thank you. I had such a great time on the the facilities tour that we did with the community and the mayor and different ones that came out that are on the bond committee. We got to see the new science classrooms, one that was completed and then one that was still in construction. I think at Mark Twain it was still in construction. We got to go in and see all the coverings that we have now over the schools. As you drive by, you see all those solar panels that are going to make our schools 75 to 85% solar. That's what they'll be using for their electricity. So that's awesome. And we got to see the electric bus charging station. We got to see Roger you saw that on the internet probably, and you got to put the plug into the back of the bus, because I remember when we rode the buses on the 4th of July, like, how do they charge these? Where is it, you know? And so he opened it up to show us where they charge it. So it was really cool to see all of that. And then such a blessing for the Teachers Association to ask us to come to their breakfast and meet the teachers and see them just getting ready for the school year, the excitement and enthusiasm that was there. It was really fun to see some new teachers that are so excited to come to our district, and then other teachers just hearing some of the things that are going on and wondering how we can solve some problems that they've had in the past. So I just thought it was a wonderful opportunity for us to get to know some different people in, like Trustee Daly said, in a different environment. And just to agree with you, Mr. Mayas, just wow. I had no idea what parents had to deal with on that first day of school, and as you're trying to navigate the schools, the lights, the student drivers, the cutting in, it was exciting that day, but I got there okay, and it was just so fun to see the happy faces for the students coming in, the cheerleaders greeting them, and of course I went out to Grigori, so it had the big giant drag wire that's out there, so that was really fun too. So I know it was a good day, and I'm so glad we didn't have all the issues that we've had in the past. I also attended the Clergy Council meeting. They're planning a youth summit in September, and it's with the clergy that most of them, I think, are pastors on the west side. And then with the mayor comes, the police chief, the sheriff's department, CHP, a lot of different law enforcement comes, and then we have the dialogue. What can we do to help our community to understand what's happening when there's an event that we need to communicate better with? And so it's just a good place and time, and this is our 10th year, which is amazing that we've been doing this for 10 years. And they invite Modesto City Schools to come in, and I'm so appreciative of Linda Muma Solario for coming to that event too, because it takes time out of your day to go, but I just appreciate that Modesto City Schools participates. And then lastly, we had Parents Leading Change, which is a partnership between Modesto City Schools and the community, and it's just to help students succeed in different environments. And they had a booth there and gave away back and helped with the just getting parents to know how their students can succeed and how they can participate in our schools in a better way. So it's been a really busy few weeks between the last meeting and this meeting, but it sounds like it's been really awesome by everybody that's been able to be out and about.
Thank you. I apologize for the glitches that we're having with the names coming up. I've noticed a couple of times our student representative has keyed in. I wanted to just point out that you do have a special point on the agenda where your report comes, but did you have something you wanted to share with us here? Okay. Her name has jumped up at me a couple of times and wanted to at least acknowledge that I had seen that. Trustee Mejia?
I'm Trustee Lopez for the tickets. But I went from Maestas to Lopez. Thank you for making me a little bit younger, so that's good. So I want to report. I wasn't here for the previous meeting, but I want to report we were able to attend a community gathering, Comadres in Action, which was a great. We got to see some women leaders, kind of being an example to a lot of young ladies in our district. So that was pretty awesome to see. Lots of community there. Lots of we had the folkloric dancing as well from Los Falcones there. So that was pretty awesome to see, to speak there. Also, I was able to surprisingly, I go to the farmers market all the time, but this time in the summer I went, and then guess what? It was one of our buses was pulling in with little ones, like kindergartners and first graders, and I was just walking so suspicious. I just stood there waiting for them to get into the library, through their field trips. So I got to see firsthand kind of like how they had it all organized and how they're having a blast. And they didn't even say hi because they didn't want to be interrupting any of their flow that they were going. But it was just amazing to see what the summer extended learning is all about. And so it was just an exciting, I just sat there and admire like the process of getting off the bus, little tiny ones. I think it might have been kindergarten or first grade. I didn't ask, but it was pretty amazing to see that firsthand. And then lastly, I also got to meet with a nonprofit, BAP, during the summer as well, just kind of getting a little bit about who they are and how we can work with them in the future. So, thank you. That's my report.
Thank you. Just real quick mention of a couple of the events that have already been discussed. The backpack event, I took the time to visit with all of our vendors that were there and all the community organizations that were there to provide support for our families. And just wanted to acknowledge the great support that we have within the district. And it was so fun to meet all those people that were there wanting to provide services to our families and to see how excited the kids were to be getting a new backpack and coming back to school. And just to wrap up on the bus tour, I have to tell you, after that tour, my smile was tired. I get so excited when I see how much is happening within our district, all the positive things that are happening on our campuses and the things that are being done, the work that's being accomplished through our community support of our bond measures so that we can provide a better, stronger learning environment for each one of our students. It is so exciting, and I appreciate the way that that tour provided information that has been the source of many media exposures with news reports that have been generated from the information that was shared on that tour. All of the construction projects that we have going on in our district that be reported this weekend, and I think it was the Sunday paper, that we have $165 million of construction projects happening within our district right now, preparing for us to continue to provide better services to all of our students. I'm so proud of that. I just can't help but beam with a glowing smile anytime I see that construction, knowing how hard we're working to make sure that that all happens. So thank you all. And I think that takes us on to the approval. Oh, let's see, recognitions. Going to turn the time over to our Public Information Officer, Mrs. Muma Solario.
Thank you so much. Good evening, board trustees, Dr. Noguchi, and of course all of our school community that's here tonight. It's now time to recognize our students, our teachers, and our staff for their hard work, their dedication, and innovation, and we have two recognitions tonight. First up, the Stanislaus County Office of Education will recognize 3 MCS staff members for their work with the Early Literacy Stan Reads program. In addition to the county's recognition, MCS would also like to recognize these staff members as MCS heroes. And so let's welcome District Multi-Tiered Systems Support Coordinator Heidi Lucero. Head Start teacher Amber Marr. Job embedded professional development coach with curriculum instruction and professional development, Lisa Smith, up to the front. I'd also like to invite Senior Director of CPID, Ernesto Calderon, to say a couple of words. And if you could face the audience.
Come on up, come on up. Come on up. Come on, come on, come on. All right, so good evening. I'm excited to be here tonight to celebrate 3 amazing ladies and their work and dedication to early literacy. Each awardee tonight will receive an Early Literacy Instruction Award on behalf of Stan Reads. This recognition is awarded to teachers who have shown excellence in promoting and supporting the reading development of students in grades TK through 3rd grade. Each awardee will also receive an MCS Hero Award as well. And here tonight to present these awards is Mr. Jay Brem, Project Coordinator from Stanislaus Cradle to Career in Stanislaus County Office of Ed.
Good evening, everyone. Jay Brem from the County Office of Education. and I'm with our Stan Reads program, which is part of our larger Cradle to Career initiative at the county office. And in 2021, the 2021 to 22 school year, our team really wanted to acknowledge the work going on throughout the county with our early educators who are really focused on helping our young students learn to read, learn literacy skills. We understand how important it is. We understand how critical it is. And our team thought, we need to recognize these folks. And so we created the Early Literacy Instruction Award, or the ELIA. And we had 3 winners in the first year, 21-22, from Modesto. And this year I'm happy to be here to honor 3 more winners from Modesto. So Director Danielle Hinkle describes our first awardee, Heidi Lucero, as an outstanding and passionate educator who has supported hundreds of MCS educators. She models, provides in-the-moment coaching, and gives feedback to help fine-tune lessons and delivery. Results of her work include staff well-trained to use direct instruction with fidelity and increased student reading proficiency in the DIBELS assessment. Congratulations to Heidi Lucero. Director Heidi Noon says that our next awardee, Amber Marr, has been an exceptional role model for new teachers and support for her peers. She implements Hagerty early pre-K curriculum daily to support early literacy skills and creates a safe learning environment where children are willing to take academic and social risks. She has participated in the Letters for Early Childhood Education Professional Development Series and is a trainer of trainers for her peers. She's even gone as far as recording herself implementing the Hagerty curriculum to share with her colleagues and receive feedback. Congratulations, Amber. And finally, Director Calderon calls our final awardee, Lisa Smith, a leader for literacy of Modesto City Schools. She provides high-quality professional development to support foundational reading pedagogy and assessment. She is a DIBELS and induction mentor, a RECA test teacher, and a certified letters training facilitator. Through her strategic and focused work, students in the classroom benefit from her support. Congratulations to Lisa.
I'd like to invite Trustee Lopez to join our heroes for a photo. Will the real Trustee Lopez please stand?
Oh boy.
Okay, and now for tonight's special recognition, the Board of Education and Superintendent would like to recognize Nutrition Services staff for their exemplary work during the 2023 Summer Feed Program. Board trustees, after Mr. Zierli speaks, please come up to greet our staff as they receive their certificates of appreciation. And here tonight to say a few words is Associate Superintendent and Chief Business Official Tim Zierli.
I'll go.
Good evening. It is truly an honor to recognize the hardworking and dedicated group of employees of our Nutrition Services Department, led by Senior Director Chris Atwell. And we're here to show our appreciation for what you did or what you do continuously for the community, but in particular over the summer. And for those that don't know, as a district, we offer free lunch to our communities at 25 different locations throughout the city of Modesto. This goes on from May 31st to July 28th. We were closed for 2 of those days, for Juneteenth and July 4th holidays. But every other one of those days, we were at the park in the middle of the day, serving meals to anyone that showed up, ages 1 to 18. Did not necessarily need to be our Modesto City School students. And that just shows the dedication, your dedication to the community of which we serve, and providing healthy, nutritious meals to the students that showed up on a daily basis. In addition to our summer school feeding program that we had going on at each of our school sites. So it is an honor for the board to recognize you tonight at a board meeting, and I would like to invite the board down to, as I call off the names, we'll ask you to come up. Chris will hand you a certificate of recognition, and then shake the hands of each board member here. Are they going to gather outside? And then when you're done, you'll go outside. We won't make you stand out there too long in this heat. We'll get you a picture. And it was reminded to me, I believe you guys start around probably 4 or 4:30 in the morning. So we're going to get you out of here rather quickly. But thank you. Thank you for taking the time to come here tonight. First off, Pearl Lowe. Deidre Moore. Rick Borns. Esther Castro. Iris Martin. Carlos Mendez. Marcus Millett. Sean Navales. Jenny O'Neill. Leticia Padilla. Estela Perez. Susan Saponis. Irene Tobar. Laura Avila. Lupe Valadez. And of course, without leadership in our district, I get calls all the time from my colleagues throughout the state of California, and they say, how do you do certain things in your nutrition services program? I say, it's very simple. We have the best leader, Senior Director Chris Atwell, running the program. So, Chris Atwell.
Well, it's always fun to recognize excellence in our district and the great things that make this the destination district. Next, we're moving to item A8, approval of the consent agenda. Are there any comments regarding the consent agenda from the public? Seeing none. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move approval of this consent agenda.
Motion by trustee Marks, second by trustee Mejia. Those in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you. Motion carries. Next, we're going to address in item A9, approval of the order of discussion items. Do I hear a motion to approve the order? Trustee Mejia, second by trustee Maestas. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Any opposed? I think that was unanimous. And now we're at the point of period for public presentations. Do we have any cards this evening? So apparently we have no public presentation, so we'll move then to item B1. We're honored to have our student representative speak to us tonight, Jifa Akwaye.
Thank you. I'd like to begin by expressing my gratitude to the Modesto City Schools Board of Education for the opportunity to be a voice for Modesto City School students as this year's student representative. I'm honored to be able to represent the students of the school district, and I'm eager to work with you and on behalf of my peers to establish educational equity in our school district and expand college and career readiness through increased accessibility to resource opportunities and information. I'm looking forward to developing initiatives with the board and my peers and the Inter-High Council to establish true and deep communities of support and discussion in which students can truly express themselves and what they'd like to see in their educational experiences at their school sites and throughout the district. We're currently setting up the date for our first Inter-High Council meeting, and I'm very excited to meet with the Inter-High Council representatives from our high schools and to work with them to get more perspectives and feedback from students across our high school campuses. As we haven't had an Inter-High Council meeting yet, I can speak for what I've seen going into this school year. There was a station added to Gregory High School's junior and senior claw and Enoch's High School's junior and senior SOAR this year, and that was a voter pre-registration drive station at those schools where students had the opportunity to pre-register to vote, and those stations got a lot of interaction, so it's very exciting to see students interested in civic engagement and to see them have the opportunity to develop their voice and make sure that they're heard in our next elections. As for the first day of school, I can only speak for my experiences and those of the students at my school. It's very nice to be back at school with peers and seeing teachers again. Everyone has a new schedule, so getting adjusted to that new schedule and new teachers, it's all very exciting. It's very exciting to see new faces on campus, a lot of new freshmen coming in, so that's very exciting. There's a sort of energy in there that you can really feel. And so it's definitely nice seeing my friends again, and just everyone just seems really excited. But I think going into the second week of school, when you start getting homework, we'll see how long that excitement lasts. Also, many of the schools have already had their senior sunrises, the high schools at least, and those seem to have gone very well. There's a lot of excitement coming from the class of 2024. And finally, videos to encourage improved and perfect attendance have been sent out to the elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools today. So yeah, that's very exciting as well. And once again, I'm just very excited and grateful to be here and to serve as this year's student board representative. And so thank you all.
Thank you. Modesto Teachers Association.
Good evening now. Superintendent Noguchi, Board of Trustees, Cabinet, wish to share a few items with you first and extend an invitation and congratulations to your position. It is a big post, and we, as a Panther, welcome you into this new neighborhood. No expectations, but the standard's high, and we look forward to your service. I wish first to thank everyone that participated in the facility tour. That drive around Modesto was encouraging. Community, trustees, administration. It was a glimpse into the district's efforts. Measures D&E, Measures L, and to see the impact that our community now enjoys. Long overdue investment in our campuses, and we very much appreciated that involvement. The trustees that participated in our MTA breakfast. Last Thursday, I'm very sure you were very full. I hope you enjoyed the French toast as much as we did. But Board President Brown, trustees Marks and Daly, it was an opportunity to have conversation in a less formal setting. And it's really those types of relationships that we want to emphasize. I want to share a special shout out to the Downey Culinary Night program. Their advisor, Ernie Sanchez, does a fantastic job. The students prepared all the meal, all the beverages, fantastic food. No one was hungry, all well fed as they walked away. Well done nights. And as a Panther, that's hard for me to admit sometimes, but well done nights. And the last thing that I'm really here to emphasize is something new for MTA that we're going to try. This year, it is going to be our first annual Labor Day art competition. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. The purpose of this event is to celebrate the role of organized labor in U.S. history. Imagine that, a history teacher talking about history stuff. I fear that, Labor Day today in America is a day off from work. You show your patriotism by going shopping at the mall or buying something from Amazon. But this tradition, I fear, in communities, it used to be parades, barbecues, and picnics, fellowship. What a crazy idea. So the old history teacher thought to himself, wouldn't it be a crazy idea if we could blend that labor tradition with an opportunity to reach our kids through the lens of art? So if you had an art competition for our students across Modesto City Schools, different grade levels, TK through 12th, with the theme of Labor Day, I wonder what our creative students can come up with. So, of course, as a union member, I have propaganda. It's required. I might be sharing a poster that, of course, the student representative is to steal and share in Inter-High Council for me, if you wouldn't mind. And then to the trustees, the parameters of our Labor Day art competition, with all the rules and all the fun stuff on back. The youngsters, TK3, it's workers in our neighborhood. What role do they play making our communities stronger? For 4th through 12th grade, an opportunity to do a little bit of research. They go through and find union logos of 20th century organizations and then able to create that. And then beyond those union logo posters, we as an association also have a mission statement. The MTA mission statement, why we are organized collectively as educators here. Well, wouldn't it be a fantastic opportunity for our secondary students, 7th through 12th grade, to create a canvas representing that mission statement? Our mission statement as a labor organization. The goal of Modesto Teachers Association is to promote community understanding of educational concerns and needs of children, to offer leadership towards solutions, to promote united action and cooperation among individuals and organizations devoted to the educational interests of the community, state, and nation. Support public education. That is our task as an organization. And we challenge our youngsters. Can you put that on a canvas? Because of course the winners not only will win prizes, but you're going to be posted in our brand new updated office. This is our first competition, and we encourage all MCS students to participate. Once they're posted, we'll gladly invite you all to see what the kids produced in our neighborhood as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. And do we have a report from the California School Employees Association? Next up is item B4, a report on the first day of 2023 school year. Mr. Brad Godot.
Sure. Thank you, President Brown, trustees, Dr. Noguchi, Cabinet, all of you in attendance, and those of you watching at home. It is my pleasure tonight to kick off our presentation this evening. Cabinet will be joining me at various points during the presentation, but we would like to spend tonight really highlighting the opening of schools last week. It was an exciting week, as you can imagine, as many of you witnessed out at schools last week. One thing I would like to point out in our presentation this evening is that we're showcasing at the front of our PowerPoints now our Modesto City Schools vision. This isn't a new vision. It's been a part of our vision, mission, values, and district goals for, I want to say, going on 4 years now. And we really wanted to put it back on at the forefront to really remind us of why we do the work that we do. So I'd like to read it in its entirety this time around. And our mission is this, that every student graduates with the skills, knowledge, and character traits essential to thrive and contribute to society. So everything that we do points at this North Star. This is the mission of our district. And so tonight's presentation is going to focus on the facts and details of the first week of school. We're going to show a few slides of some pictures that really showcase the culture and spirit that was evident in the first week, as well as what we're doing to support our parents and other resources that are available, and highlight our next steps as we go into this 23-24 school year. Something that should be familiar to you is our district goal alignment. And our district goals, I'd like to showcase, is how we achieve the district vision. So tonight's presentation focusing on safe and welcoming, respectful learning environments, and how do we promote and recognize our outstanding students, families, staff, programs, schools. You're going to see a lot of showcasing tonight, the great work that's happening out in our schools, and how that's happening, and the leadership that it takes to make that work. So, as you can see here, kind of a highlight, I had the pleasure of being out at Modesto High School. This was actually the first day of school, no Photoshop there. Very welcoming, colorful environment in front of Modesto High School. And our first day of school was last Monday, August 7th. So as I mentioned, a number of folks were involved in leading the work to open schools. But as you can see from this slide, it takes a team effort. From human resources to business services. You saw a group of nutrition services leaders honored here this evening, but maintenance operations, transportation, our technology department, curriculum instruction, professional development, student support services, educational services, and communications. It's a great team to get the work done, and I think you're going to see that the first week of school was a very big success for everyone. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Associate Superintendent of Human Resources, Mr. Mike Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Godot, and good evening, trustees. In Human Resources, our motto is, it's about the people. Our employees and our students are our business, and there are all the people. The numbers that make up the district. Now, regardless of the program that we purchase or the software that we have, with all due respect, Mr. Selgin, it is the people that drive the district and move it forward, whether it's the 1,754 certificated represented by MTA, who we heard from the president earlier, teaching the kids directly in the classroom, or the 1,900, just over that, classified employees, 20 of whom you saw recognized tonight, who provide the critical supports to the district. Our managers, 264, roughly half of those are certificated administrators, the other half classified managers making up all the management team, and our substitutes, who we know from as recent as last year with our 99% fill rate, kept our classes moving when teachers and other staff had to be absent. We were very excited to have 150 new certificated staff this year. I was able to attend the boot camp, which will be alluded to and referenced by Mr. Rich in a little bit. Very exciting energy. over there. They took a group picture. I was able to show it to my staff in one of our opening year staff meetings. And they were excited to see a big, huge group of people that they had a part in hiring. And what a great job to have, to be able to offer that opportunity to folks in the destination district. A comment, the person who does our fingerprinting in our office said, I fingerprinted every one of those people. I've held all those hands. So that was exciting for them to see the fruits of their labor. So we're excited to be a part of the great kickoff to the year. Excited to have cleared everyone, to hear the opening message from CIPD and get the year underway. Turn it over now to Mr. Zerley on Business Services.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Yeah, Business Services is excited to support our collective vision by supporting the students and the staff that we have on a daily basis. And first and foremost, we've already heard about them, but nutrition services from the minute our students walk onto campus on day one, they're served breakfast, and then they're served lunch later in the day. And you can see the number of meals that we served the first 3 days last week, 19,885, which grew to Wednesday, 23,081 combined breakfast and lunch. This is the first summer in a few summers that we did not renovate one of our high school cafeterias, but we did provide, purchase new tables for Modesto High School. It's our first high school that has their logo on the tables to improve the student dining experience. And you can see here, I mean, our goal, we did this at Bayer 2 years ago. We've done it at Davis. And so the desire is to have less of an elementary feel at our high school cafeterias, more of a welcoming feel, more of something that teenagers would want to sit in and be comfortable on. So we're excited to offer this, as you can see, in the cafeteria at Modesto High School. Transportation, prior to the first day of school, we're thankful we have 3 days of professional development with our bus driver staff before the school year begins. It's our required annual bus driver classes and training. And this year, they heard a 2-hour presentation about student trauma-informed response training. This particular individual is from Lincoln High School in Walla Walla, Washington. There's actually a movie that was made about this high school. We'll be talking more about that to our bus drivers and other staff this year on different ways to approach responding to and supporting our students and their student behaviors. First day of transportation, we transported a little under 2,300 students, 1,281 high school students, 996 elementary students, 33 bus routes, and over 1,800 saved miles. First day, we had 48 bus drivers and monitors working to transport our students. And then you can just see the sun's coming up. That morning, our buses are going out to deliver our students. In addition to those areas, we have purchasing a warehouse. We provided new classroom furnishing, new classrooms this year for 29 TK classrooms, 26 regular education classrooms, and 6 special education classrooms. Maintenance operations, they cleaned effectively over 3 million square feet of space for the first day of school. First day of school, we responded to 22 work order requests that were completed day one. 7 of those were HVAC issues. Why is that important? We have over 1,500 classrooms in the district. We have countless number of different auxiliary rooms with air conditioning. So the work that went in over the summer to prepare for day one, we had 7 HVAC issues. It was pretty hot the first day of school. We're pretty proud of the work that went in preparing for the first day. And then planning and facilities. They start collecting our student enrollment and reporting beginning the second day of school so we can track how our student enrollment is. I'm pleased to turn it over to our Chief Technology Officer, Mr. Russ Selkin.
Good evening, Board, and thanks for the opportunity to share the hard work my team. I'm fortunate to have them. It was what we call all hands on deck. A lot of tickets coming in. The first day the teachers were back, we had over 1,400 tickets to get everything ready. As you can see, we go to every single classroom and we check both the wireless and also the TV WiDi. We're working to make sure that all the classrooms have 8 batteries minimum for the students. So when they come in, if their computers aren't charged, they can still get educational minutes using 21st century technology. And then again, of course, we handed up, made sure everyone had a device. Over 29,000 students now have devices, 3,300 staff members. And this year, we're about 1,000 tickets higher than last year. We started last year about 5,800. This year, 6,900 tickets on the first day. And as you go on to the next slide, you can see that we know that there's a big crunch for the first part of the year, so we do have Saturday hours. So the first Saturday, we were able to help almost 150 families and students with their computer needs, as well as staff. And this last Saturday, we had about 130. So that's been an opportunity to make sure that they come to school and their devices are ready for them, as well as any software or login issues they might have. And in the classroom, again, it's for wireless and any connectivity. The other part that technology played a role is starting off the school year as smooth as possible was over 7,000 communications last year. We had Parent Squares the first year. We used that tool. We continue to use it, and we're hearing great customer feedback as well as from the parents and families on the communication as being first notch for them, and that it's been a great tool for our district.
So now that the people are hired and the buildings have AC and they've got internet, we at CIPD had the great fortune of working with our teachers as we got them ready for the new year. So it starts off the last week of July. You can see there's that group picture that Mr. Henderson alluded to, about 150 new to MCS educators. There's a 4-day conference where they come in and they get their technology set up. We get curriculum training. They meet everybody. The first day they have lunch with their school secretaries. And they meet them, and then they meet their admin, they meet the district office, they meet so many people just to make sure that they feel supported and have all the resources that they need to get going early. On August 1st, that's our first day where we kick off with all educators, all certificated staff. We offered over 300 sessions where they had choice in what courses they wanted to take. This included 4 different school sites with over 1,800 people. Dr. Noguchi did a rolling keynote, so she did 4 different keynotes throughout the day to the different groups. That was to help alleviate parking all at one site or transportation. We moved her instead of moving the teachers. And a lot of great success there, particularly around the topics of helping all learners succeed with special attention to those that receive special education services and our ELs. So a lot of focus and emphasis, not only on that, but how do we increase the level of rigor to the level that the standard requires. So that was a lot of our big topics. And then next slide, Brad. Moving forward, we also reintroduced the instructional core, which was last year was the first year, now we're going to second year, and introduced the roadmap for the next 3 years. You'll hear in a future board meeting presentation regarding the instructional advisory committee and that roadmap. But really a lot of emphasis on how do we support all learners by using board adopted curriculum and engaging them in the curriculum every day. I think student support services is next.
Yeah, Student Support Services got off to a great start this year. I want to first by talking about special education, where we welcome over 3,600 kids with IEPs back to Modesto City Schools, SELPA. And in addition to that, we opened up 6 new classes for students with autism in grades pre-K through 3. And I truly cannot be more pleased with where we're at with that. The staff that we have hired, both certificate and paraprofessionals, some great work being done there. Expanded Learning's also been very busy. This is just a 3-day snapshot, but already after 3 days, we welcomed 2,638 students into after school and 505 students in before school, with kids enrolling daily. So look forward to updating the board in terms of those numbers, but we're off to a great start. Next slide, please. As was mentioned here, I mean, the Marshall Backpack event, 1,000 backpacks, dinner, community resources, great effort by parent engagement and outreach. The parent ambassadors have also been very, very busy. They've been supporting Roundup, beginning of the year activities, basically working to support those bonds and make those relationships with those families to continue to strengthen our relationship with our families within MCS. Child welfare and attendance has been busy. Trained over 100 yard duty staff and 100 campus supervisors on ways to avoid conflict and school safety. So some great work there. Also administrative training for all new admins on discipline and positive behavior intervention and supports, which is something we take pride on in doing each and every year. Next slide, please. Very, very pleased with health services. Our partnership with Golden Valley Immunization Clinics has led to, in the number of clinics that we did prior to school starting, about a 2/3 reduction in the number of kids that needed immunizations prior to the first day of school. So great work there. And then additional yearly training on AEDs, the EpiPens and Narcans, just to make sure that we're safe and prepared in the case of an emergency. And finally, I really want to talk about student support services. We did a lot of work in redesigning our Healthy Start program to divide Healthy Start into regions to better communicate and serve our families with students age 0 to 5. We're also supporting Johansson in our first ever MTSS secondary endeavor. So looking forward to sharing some more information as that continues to blossom. And we're also working with School Links on our first ever 4-year planning tool that was put in place last year with the transition to School Links, but ready to roll that out at full steam and also hit the junior highs in terms of overall 6-year planning down the road. And finally, the attendance campaign is, the attendance campaign is alive and well. So a lot of effort going into the communication. Sites are already busy reinforcing with a lot of incentives, and we have been working hand in hand with the county to make sure we hit that goal of a 96% attendance rate. And with that, I turn it back over to Deputy Superintendent Brad Godot.
Thank you, Mr. Herbst. So leading up to the first weeks of school, educational services first and foremost was focused on our district goal number 3, which was how are we creating the conditions of a welcoming, respectful learning environment and community setting for all of our families and students and staff. Followed that up with looking at just customer service. You know, how are we serving our customers? Our students, our customers, our staff, our customers in various ways, and our parents and our school community. So really talking through with our site leaders, and I'll talk about principals here in a moment, just how are we creating those conditions? We have to be intentional. It doesn't happen by accident, and I can say that this past week was probably the least amount of critical feedback or I don't know, complaints, you know, people that didn't receive the level of service they would like, was probably the fewest that we've had in my time at the district office, going on 6 years. So that was really something to hang our hat on anecdotally, just about customer service. Also looking at communication, you know, and that takes a great effort. I'd like to give kudos to our small but mighty communications department, Linda Muma Solario, as well as Julia Nacio, taking the lead with social media communications. There's a lot that goes into planning that, from changes to bus routes and Zonar Z-Pass and the first day of school, and gosh, it's going to be over 100 this week. And you know, we don't think about it, but those social media graphics and that communication planning out through Parent Square and social media doesn't happen by accident and does take some very thoughtful planning. So working with our communications department has been critical in getting the word out. Also direct supports to, I say principals, but really that means site administrators. Our school leadership team out at school sites last week, visiting schools, connecting with site leaders to make sure that they have what they need. How are things going? Cabinet was out at school sites last week, and really it was just to say, how's it going and what can we do to help? You know, there was a lot of good feedback. Again, I think it was probably one of our smoother openings as a district that we've seen in quite some time. That direct support to site administrators also included our what we affectionately call Admin Week now. May have been referred to different terms in the past, but the Admin Week is 3 days. Day 1 is all managers, day 2 all managers, and we included our administrative assistants this year at their request, which was a big positive to help include them, because you know, a great principal once told me when I came into the district, those are the folks that run the schools. You think you're the principal, you run the school, it's the administrative assistant that runs the school and the head custodian. So we did a great job, I think, integrating them into the fold on day 2. And then day 3 is our certificated admin day, where we map out the year. You know, what's our focus? How are we going to get there? How are we going to support our site administrators to do the challenging job that they have to help us reach our goals and our mission? Supporting leadership development, again, just outlining, you know, where is it that we want to grow? What are we going to focus on? And really making that kindness, or clarity as kindness, right? So making sure that everybody understands what is our focus for the year. And that started with Dr. Noguchi's messaging on day 1 with administrators and managers, and continued through the message 4 times in one day to all of our teachers, and really making sure that we're aligned from the superintendent all the way down to the paraprofessional, the folks serving our students breakfast and lunch, and everybody in between, all pulling in the same direction with the same goals. Another focus for us in the first week was our local control funding formula forms, and under the leadership of Senior Director Steve Hurst in state and federal programs, our LCFF forms, for those of you that don't recognize that term, is key to how we receive our state funding. I want to encourage all of our families that may be out there listening to please get those forms in, because this really is how the state has created funding targets for us as a district. So the more forms that we get in, the better funded we are, which helps all students. That's really important, that all students benefit from this. And last, I want to give a shout out, not just to my team, school leadership, state and federal programs, and educational options, but also our principals. Their leadership at our school sites and opening schools is so incredibly important. I did this presentation last year, and after I was done, I realized, you know what, that was a big miss, and I wanted to make sure that we gave props where props are due. There is so much that they are responsible for ensuring runs smoothly on the first day of school. I don't know that unless you've sat in the chair that you can fully appreciate the complexity that comes with that. But I want to thank our team and everybody under their leadership that really banded together to support all of our site administrators in getting that first week of school off and running to a smooth start. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Linda Mumo-Solario.
Thank you so much. This year, Communications partnered with 4 members of our Information Technology Education Services Department to visit various school sites and capture pictures of all the excitement on the first day of school. And we also encouraged school sites and site leadership to send photos in to share on social media as well. And so here's a look at the first day of school festivities at our TK6 schools. You see Bret Hart there. They had live banda music during the recess, and Principal Marla Conte shared that the group is made up of former MCS scholars and Modesto High graduates, and one of them is actually a graduate from, or soon to graduate from Stanislaus State, and has an interest in teaching at Modesto City Schools. And so this was his way of giving back to his school community that he grew up in, as well as inspiring young students. That middle picture there is, in the center, is the new transitional kindergarten classroom, or a transitional kindergarten classroom. MCS was very happy to expand TK this year, and we are very grateful for the board's approval of new furniture and environments for our littlest learners. And the picture there on the right, that is of Rose Avenue's Mustang mascot, waiting to welcome students on the first day of school. And Rose Avenue rolled out the red carpet to welcome their students, staff, and families, and created a really festive atmosphere. On the next slide here, you see more of Bret Hart's students and staff dancing to banda, as well as colorful welcome display that Beard Elementary put up. In the center there, you see Dr. Sarah Noguchi and board member Abel Maestas visiting the Sonoma Elementary School Dolphins on the first day of school. And then, of course, we heard about Orville Wright. Principal Javier Lara and Vice Principal Lisa Freimeyer stuck with the Flyers theme. They dressed up as the Wright brothers, and staff rolled out the blue carpet in this case. And you can't miss the aviator goggles that Principal Lara is wearing, and then, of course, the inflatable airplane costume. Next up, we have our 7th and 8th grade, our junior high schools. In the upper left-hand corner, you see a staff member there helping students find their classrooms at Roosevelt Junior High. In the photo just to the right, you see parents way in the back there dropping off their students for the first day of school. And of course, the bright blue and yellow tunnel that students walk through to get to class. And we also have La Loma Junior High there on the bottom center. They invited former NFL athlete, speaker, author, and coach Shamil Gary to the campus to talk with the students about achieving inner excellence. His talk was very motivational, and it was really well received by the students. And Hanshaw Middle School there on the right, they also created a welcoming environment with signs like the one that you see there, as well as a balloon arch. They had an inflatable tunnel and activities throughout the day as well. And then in our 9 through 12 schools, Bayer High School is pretty well known for rolling out the red carpet, having their cheerleaders and welcome students. Modesto High, they really brought it this year. Their cheerleaders performed stunts outside, cheers. The high school brought out its mascot, and then the school was very loud and proud really early in the morning as students returned from their summer break. And then Davis High brought out its mascot, its cheerleaders, as well as its leadership students. And then we also had a news crew from KCRA. They were there to highlight the first day of school and also talk with Principal Michael Schroyer about the focus of the year. And then Johansson was, quote, living that high school life, as the sign reads there, with the first day of school photo backdrop for students to snap some pictures, and you'll see more on the next slide as well. There's that photo backdrop that I was talking about there in the center. To the left, you see on the top there, Grigori. They put on a big show of support for students returning to class. Down below is Elliott. They also got into the spirit with some welcoming smiles from their school leaders. And then over on the right-hand side, we have Johansson and Enoch's high schools. They placed, of course, their football tunnels in front of the school for students to enter onto campus. And pretty much every school took a unique approach to creating a safe and welcoming environment for the first day of school. And if you can go to the next slide, Brad. In terms of media coverage, in addition to posting our pictures onto social media, Communications also worked with business services this year to produce several digital articles on the Modesto City Schools website to announce the launch of the new Z-Pass bus system, as well as the new electric buses that are rolling out this year, and also to highlight various construction projects that took place throughout the district and are still taking place throughout the district. Local media came out to cover the first day and continued to produce stories on these topics throughout the first week of school. You can see KCRA there sent 2 crews on the first day of school, one to cover, of course, the first day festivities at Davis, but then they also sent another crew out in the afternoon to cover the new Z-Pass bus system. CBS 13 had sent out a meteorologist and reporter who's also a graduate of Enoch's High School to cover the electric buses. And then Modesto B also covered the Z-Pass bus system on the first day of school. And then later in the week, the various construction projects that are taking place across the district. And then, of course, several other TV stations in both English and Spanish came out to cover the Z-Pass, as well as the new sustainable outdoor learning environment, solar parking structures, and all-weather tracks. In total, I believe we had about a dozen news stories in the paper, on TV, and online, and so it was a very festive and busy and productive week, first week of school. And with that, I think I'm turning it back over to Tim Zierle.
Thank you. Earlier, you heard Deputy Superintendent Brad Godot mention creating the right conditions for learning. And a big part of those conditions starts with student and staff safety. And not that every year there's not a focus on student and staff safety. I mean, it's actually a strategic goal of ours. Goal 3 centers around creating a welcoming and safe environment. But this year, these are areas that we're looking to enhance our student and staff safety, focusing on full implementation of the Raptor Visitor Management System. What does that mean? Currently, we're using it for visitors that come onto our campuses. We want to include employees that go from campus to campus. Any one of us that goes and visits a campus will sign in to the management system. In the event of a lockdown, we know one of us is on that campus or multiple ones of us are on that campus at any point in time, as well as contractors. Contractors that come onto the campus. We had a situation that over the summer where there was some work going on at Roosevelt late in the afternoon, and we had some police activity in the area. We locked down the school, but we did not know who the contractors were on the campus. So this will give us the opportunity to safely know who's on our campuses at any point in time. High school fencing installations, that will happen soon, as soon as we get approval from the Division of State Architects for our design, which should happen any week now. Then we will bring to a board meeting, we'll bring a bid package to go out to bid and award a contractor to begin installing fencing at our high school locations. Ongoing campus supervisor training. We heard on a slide earlier from Associate Superintendent Mark Herbst about the training that was done before the year for our campus supervisors. that is ongoing. There's an ongoing focus on training of our high school, our junior high and high school campus supervisors, and also emergency preparedness training, where we now are a partner with Knowledge Saves Lives. KSL, you'll hear it referred to as one of those areas that will provide training to our school sites, to our staffs on emergency preparedness. We're looking forward to rolling that out. Very excited for that opportunity to provide that to our employees. And a district safety committee. We have a district safety committee. I have to admit, post-pandemic, we haven't focused much on the district safety committee. We're bringing that back this year into focus to support each one of these areas that you see on this slide. I am not sure who's.
And next we have Mr. Russ Selkin.
Right, so on this slide, you can see that we did, in continuation of the Parent Square, reach out to our communication to our customers, and this specifically was monthly training classes that we have in the EdTech area for the teachers, and Schoology and a 21st century focus here. Power School, these are the core applications that we have for our students. And then also, the courses for the parents were offered in both English and Spanish, and this is to help them get engaged with their students' education, because these are the tools that the students use at school. Now the parents have exposure to those tools that they can help their child once they get home. You can see here also the link to the parents' training opportunities that we have and work in conjunction with Mady's team.
And finally, our next steps, again, going back to, what are we here for? We're here for students, and it starts with relationships. That message started last year in the first week of school, preparing for the 22-23 school year, and that message continues in the 23-24 school year. We know that students, and all of us for that matter, we operate better when we're feeling connected and there's strong relationships. Again, going back to the instructional core and focusing on high-quality first-time instruction. How can we improve what we do in the classroom the first time we're working with students around a learning objective versus remediation and looking at how we support them on the back end? Yes, the second part is important, but if we can improve the first part, the first time instruction, we know that we don't need to invest as much in the second part. So that is a focus for us this year, ongoing focus. Committing to growing as a professional, all of us. Dr. Noguchi spoke to that. We spoke to that with our administrators. Just how can we focus on that continuous cycle of improvement? We can always do better at our craft, and embracing feedback for growth. I was trying to come up with that word at the beginning when I was talking about customer service and having the fewest amount of, I called them complaints, but just really centering around feedback, right? We can learn from the feedback that we get and how can we improve all of our systems, not just at the school site, but also at the district level. And again, the next bullet there, engaging in the PLC process. We know that it can work, and we have a great deal of supports built into our structures at the school site level this year through school leadership and our principals to provide leadership and support for our teachers that are implementing this practice of professional learning communities with the idea that it is going to change the outcomes for students. Ensuring high expectations of ourselves and others. Again, that was part of the messaging for everybody at the beginning of the year. How do we raise the bar for ourselves each and every day for the benefit of our students and ultimately our community? And last, continuing to advance our equitable practices. This was an effort that started years ago under Dr. Noguchi's leadership. That is still a primary driver of how we do our work. That focus has not changed. And there's a number of different areas that you'll hear about throughout the year. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to President Brown for any possible public comments.
Do we have any public comments regarding this presentation? Seeing none, comments or questions from the board?
Is that okay?
Yes, go.
Okay, thank
Go
you.
ahead, Trustee Marks.
I had a couple of questions. Let's see. So when we were talking about the HVAC, and I just was wondering if we had a plan in case, like, we have brownouts or the power goes out. I know I never would have thought of this except that we start school so early in August now, and and it's over 100 this week, and so I just know that we used to have brownouts in California quite regularly. So do we have any plans for that? And will the solar that we're putting in our schools, will that help with, especially the high schools, so?
So our solar installations are, they're interconnected, so they're not, so we're producing power that's going back to the grid. So we are supporting the local grid with our solar generation. It's not, the solar the power we produce is not going directly to that school, but we're putting power back to the grid. So we are strengthening the local grid. We're fortunate that Modesto Irrigation District is not like a PG&E customer. And so we're not subject typically to rolling blackouts or brownouts. PG&E actually utilizes MID in those times to provide power across the state, across the grid. But we do have situations. We just talked about it today where last year at Davis High School we had a transformer blow and they were without power in a very hot day of the year. So we deal with those when they happen. We try to prepare for our side of the meter in that we don't have as many issues as was referenced on the first day. But if a rolling blackout or brownout were to happen, we would definitely work with MID to come up with a plan on how we can mitigate that during the hot August months.
Okay, that's great. I just was wondering because it would be really like, what do you do? I know we had to deal with the smoke and the fires, and how do we deal with that when that was happening? And so I'm just grateful that we don't have that going on, and it's awesome. So that's helpful to know that, and we'll just hope things go well too. I had a question about the immunizations, and because I was at a parent meeting this last week, and they were concerned about how do we get out the information to the parents on immunizations, and do we have very many students that haven't been immunized yet? And then what's our plan to help them get immunized?
Yeah, in the past, we had a number of individuals that weren't immunized. Like I said, very, very pleased with how we cut down that number. Actually, communication starts going out the year prior for anybody, like rolling into 7th grade with TDAP, all that information. We start sending letters, mailers, then the advertisements for the actual clinics once they were set up. Went out through Parent Square, social media, an onslaught in terms of trying to get as many individuals as we could through those clinics.
So are we going to do any more clinics, or is it just up to them to try to find an appointment somewhere to get their immunizations now?
I believe, I'd have to check, I believe we still have one more after the school year started to make sure that we try to capture anybody that didn't do it before. I'd have to double check that date, but yeah, I believe that's what we have.
Okay, no worries. It just came up, and then you talked about it. I was like, oh, I have a question on this. And then lastly, you also had something on a 4-year planning tool. So could you tell me more about that? Is that to help our students for 4 years? I just want to know more.
Yeah,
about that.
basically sets up a student who's going to, based on their interests, set up a 4-year planning tool, and it allows us to track their progress toward the college and career indicator, as well as those students that are on A to G, and really work with the counselor on promoting the best outcome for our kids. I think it's a nice way to set up a system to where a child's working toward what their career path and goal is. Definitely an improvement from our existing system.
So is it done through the counseling department? They sign up with a teacher? How's it done?
Through the counseling department, each student would create their own individual 4-year plan when they ballot, and then the counselor will work with the child on their selections that they make to make sure that they stay on the track that they desire.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, yeah, because I wanted to see our students just moving towards those goals, and it's nice to identify them early enough so we can see how they're doing and make sure they don't get behind. That's awesome. So that ends all my questions. Thank you so much. This was a great presentation. Thank you for sharing all this information with us. It just helps us be better prepared too when we go out in the community to share, wow, guess what we're doing? And we can share that now. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Irvin.
Yes, my question was, you were talking about the first aid and all that stuff. And so we have I was gonna say, do we have ADD on our campus, but AED on our campuses? And if so, how many?
Yeah, we have AEDs depending on the sites, anywhere from 2 to, I want to say, as high as 5. We also have them at district office buildings too.
Okay, thank you. And great report, again. That's a lot going on in them days.
Yes, so much positive and great to hear all the things that happen behind the scenes so that we can have the success we saw for the first week of school. So thank you all. Thank you to the entire district for the success that we were able to see. Moving on now to item B5, report on high school boundaries update. And this is Mr. Zerly.
Thank you, President Brown. Good evening again, trustees. Tonight, we're pleased to give a report on the process for our high school attendance boundary study. We waited until we came back to school. We did not want to do this over the summer when many of our parents or partners were on vacation. So we wanted to do this as quickly as we could once school started. So we're pleased to share with the board the process. As you heard earlier from Deputy Superintendent Brad Godot, you'll see this on every presentation that we do. This is our why. This is why we do everything we do. And even when we talk about attendance boundaries, as we look at our attendance boundaries, there was a focus on equity and access for all of our students, and how does that support this vision. We have to look at every single student that we educate, and even when we're looking at how are our boundaries currently constructed. We're going to talk about the boundary study history. You've heard this before. Many of you were at the individual boundary meetings, community meetings, but we'll talk collectively as to what we found out. We'll highlight the survey feedback, next steps, and comments and questions as we do for each presentation. This aligns to District Strategic Goal 3, again, providing a safe, welcoming, and respectful learning environment for every member of our school community, but also while ensuring effective district-wide communication for our students, families, and community partners. These were the boundary study committees for each school. And you'll notice there's red for Modesto High School. I just wanted to show that we had 3 meetings for the current existing Modesto High boundary area. On March 1st, we were at Modesto High School. March 28th, we were at Modesto High School again. And then on April 3rd, we went to Hanshaw Middle School to address the South Modesto community as well. Davis High School, there was two meetings at Davis High School, March 2nd and March 29th. We met at Downey High School, Johansson High School, and Gregory High School. So you'll see the number of meetings that we had, community input meetings for each one of our high school attendance areas. And this was the agenda for each meeting. We welcomed Dr. Noguchi, welcomed the community members present at each meeting. We had a brief presentation, and then we broke up into small group discussions. We felt that, especially when we got larger groups, it was more powerful. In smaller groups, people would share their thoughts and feelings much easier in a small group setting than with the whole group. And then we did, we put all of their thoughts on a piece of paper, put those up around the room, and we invited the people present to go around, do a gallery walk, to see what the other tables wrote down. And then asked them to complete a survey when they were done. Let's see here. The purpose of I got a little confused there for a minute. There we go. The community meetings, each one, we wanted to review with those present the history of the boundary study, review the boundary study goals, the current boundaries. What we found out, at least for me, what we found out was many of the people, even at the Downey meetings, they did not understand until they saw it that Downey was a non-contiguous boundary. I don't know that, I think for the first time when people saw the boundaries and saw our fish with different colors, they could see, wow, there is something that's different about the Downey boundary that is different from the others. And then we offered them 3 boundary study scenarios to review at that point in time. And then this was, you've seen this is what was shared with them. This started back in 21-22 when we were looking at our high school start time was going to 8:30. And as we prepared for that, I think some of our board members were on that particular committee to prepare for that. And we heard that at that point in time, there was some concerns. There was some concerns with the Downey, the South community, families that went to Downey, that they did not have the same access and equity to their school services that our other high schools had. And in particular, at that point in time, it was 0 and 8th periods. We no longer have an 8th period. Now we don't have 8th period anymore. But there was a lack of bus transportation at that point in time prior to 22-23 for Downey community, that it was easier access to the other high schools in our attendance areas. There was also concern about childcare and impact on families. When we started high school at 8:30, what are we going to do now for those parents that they relied on their high schooler to be the morning daycare or maybe the morning transportation for their younger siblings, and then just logistics to provide ongoing educational and operational services. The goals of the boundary study was to review equity and access of transportation. That's what it began with, and other services for each high school boundaries. We wanted to engage and listen to our community. That was a focus of Dr. Noguchi. If we're not going out to these community areas, if we're not going to make every effort to engage and listen to them, that's why you saw for Davis High School and Modesto High School, you saw multiple meetings. We just wanted to make sure we provided enough of an opportunity for those individuals to come and share their concerns with us. Allow feedback for them on the various boundary options, and then make a recommendation to the superintendent. We wanted, our goal, our hope was at the end of these community meetings to have a recommendation to make to the superintendent that then would be brought forward to you at a future board meeting. Some questions we considered at each time we went out. What are the implications for a contiguous boundary for Downey? That means, what would it be without being disrupted? It would be all one color, like our other high schools. What considerations do we need to give for future housing developments? Only 1 or 2 of our high schools, probably Bayer and Enox, are impacted right now by residential growth. So how do we account for that future residential growth? How can we maintain our existing student capacities for each high school? We didn't go in to reduce any high school or grow any high school. Everybody was pretty comfortable with the existing capacities of our high schools. So what could we do to maintain those existing student capacities? And how can we ensure equitable access for all students? Those were questions we considered. We made these commitments to the community at each meeting. If there were any boundary changes, they would not go into effect until the fall of '24. That would be a year from now. And at that point in time, only affecting incoming 9th grade students. Students would not be required to change schools. If they were at a school, they could remain and should remain at their existing school. Students with siblings would be allowed to attend school at the same school. And then Modesto City Schools would continue to have intra-district transfer options. That would be if a family chooses to go from one high school to another, but subject to space availability. So we broke up into small group discussions, and we asked them to review each of the 3 scenarios that we provided. What are the pros? What are the cons? What do they like? How does each scenario impact them? Specifically at their family, their community. We wanted to hear their feedback. And we asked them to rank each scenario and explain to us why the scenario works or does not work. We wanted to see that. We wanted to hear from that. And then as you complete the survey, please take into account the conversations we had this evening that would help us ensure that their comments reflect that discussion. And so this is what they were given at each table in order to rank each scenario. And I do want to compliment Russ's team at each community meeting. We had devices there to help with this. And we also had translating services as well. And so it was a great team effort. As you can see, we had an English voting form, a Spanish voting form, and a Farsi voting form for those that showed up at the meetings. And then we said, okay, there's additional ways for you to give us your feedback. And that was at our website. We had the high school boundary change proposal, and so they could go to our website and give us feedback if they forgot something at the meeting or they weren't comfortable at the meeting with Sharon. And this was just kind of highlight some of our community feedback that we received. There's much more than this, but I tried to capture just some recurring themes that were important at each meeting. And every place we went, they all agreed, our existing high school boundaries have issues. Anytime you have only one high school out of 7 on the west side of a main artery, Highway 99, you're going to have problems. You're going to have issues. Everybody recognizes that. However, the majority chose to do nothing. Yeah, the majority at every meeting, there was no overwhelming support for any one of the 3 scenarios other than to do nothing. And this may have come as a surprise to some of us, at least it did to me. The South Modesto community told us that they prefer Downey attendance area. That's what they believe is their home high school, and they preferred to attend that instead of the other options, which would take South Modesto to Modesto High School. We heard many times that, well, the Modesto High School enrollment would be too large in any of our options, and the Davis enrollment would potentially decrease in all the options. And if you recall, I mean, Davis currently has, in their attendance boundary, Davis has a large number of students over what they could house. If every single family in the Davis attendance area chose to go to Davis High School, we would have to move some because we don't have room. We don't have capacity at Davis High School to do that. Now, the intra-district transfer process self-balances that school for us. It's been doing that for a number of years. So we're not over capacity, we're not under capacity. The concern here is if we shrunk Davis's attendance boundary and those intra-districts still happened, now we're reducing the amount of students that will attend Davis. There was a concern to that, and they were, that they make a valid point at the both Davis meetings. South Modesto busing issues remain. No matter where South Modesto, Crows Landing goes, which high school they go to, it's hard to get there. Even if we put them at Modesto High School, you can only get across the river on Carpenter or going down 99. So that's a challenge. No matter what we did with the South Modesto community, there's still going to be longer bus rides than our other high school attendance areas. And then this came up over and over again. Well, let's utilize Measure L. Let's see, now that Measure L has passed, how we can improve our school facilities and then decrease the number of students that transfer to another attendance area. Next steps, we would allow the Measure L improvements time to see what impact that they have on intra-district transfers. That's going to take some time. We're not going to really see the effects of Measure L until the beginning of next school year. Next summer, there's going to be some major work done, but we think that's a good option. Let's see what the improvements we're doing to our high schools has on our intra-district transfers and our enrollment. And we're going to annually update our elementary feeder district enrollment information. We now have a partnership with Davis Demographics through the help of Dr. Noguchi. She has formed a coalition with our feeder districts where now they're willing to give us their student information. And why is that important? Because we get those students as 9th graders from Sylvan, from Stanislaus Union, from Empire. And so if now we're seeing what they're seeing annually, we can better project the future for our high schools and provide accurate projections for high school student enrollment.
So now we have public comment. Any comments regarding the boundary issues? Seeing none. Comments or questions from the board? All right,
Oh, I
great
just had-
presentation.
Yeah, I'd put it up there, but just a comment, this was great and helpful. I appreciate the fact that we decided to step back and say, let's wait on this. And rather than just going forward with it, and now that we passed Measure L, we have some opportunities for some great changes at our high schools. So I thought that was great. Interesting when I was at one of the meetings to find out that there's quite a number of students that come into our district that live outside our district boundaries. And so not just inner district, but outside of them. So that was really amazing. So I know that we have some great programs that other communities are taking advantage of. And the fact that we have those students coming in from outside our area is really good too. So that was great to find out when I went to the meeting. So, and the meetings were good too. I know we had horrendous rainstorms and we moved one of the meetings because the storms were so bad. And I appreciate that too, because I mean, the turnout wasn't like a lot of people, but it would have been even less if it was pouring down rain. So, and I know some of them still had to deal with rain, but that one was pretty bad that week. It was one of those weeks where we had like all these warnings, flooding, and just torrential, I'll call them torrential rains, but for us, it was torrential rains, not for other communities, but thank you.
I appreciate the report, and I will validate that my questions have little to do with the report. So my main question is, what is the reason that we only have one campus on the west-south side? To me, that doesn't make any sense based on, I realize the population, the majority of it is over there, but was there some kind of plan way back when to not put a high school on that side of town, an additional high school?
I would have to research that and get back to you. I know land acquisition is, when you're talking about a high school, for instance, Grigori and Enox sits on about 80 acres. And so when you're trying to acquire that type of land for a high school, it's where is it available? I don't think there was any thought given to, okay, we're going to only have one on the west side, but land acquisition plays into where you're going to put a high school when you need that size of property.
The other question that I have is because the boundaries was coming up, and so this is kind of a sidestep. I was out bike riding in my community over on Yosemite. Yes, I was bike riding on Yosemite, but partly to see what the students go through. Do we actually have students crossing Yosemite to go to Wilson?
Yes, as I'm being told, we do.
Okay. That's kind of scary because that wouldn't be a street that I would want to cross. So I don't know if there's something that we could look long-term in reference to making that change. Yeah.
We can provide you information on the Wilson boundary, in particular to Yosemite Avenue. We can get you that information.
Okay, thank you.
All right, great report. I have a request that we have a brief break before we have our final presentation for the evening. So let's take about 5 minutes. Let's move to our final presentation for this evening, a report on expanded learning summer school programming for 2023. Our speaker is Mr. Rumayor.
Good evening, everyone. Board President Brown, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Noguchi, Cabinet, and guests. I have the distinct honor this evening of reviewing the report for expanded learning summer school programming for the summer of 2023. So the purpose of our presentation this evening is to provide a summary of the district's 2023 expanded learning summer programs, review summer enrollment data, and summarize next steps in order to increase and expand the effectiveness of the district's summer programs. So as previously stated, our collective why, and so this is a conversation that we've had with our all of our expanded learning staff, and for them to understand the mission of Modesto City Schools as well. And that, again, just for me, I have to read things in order for it to stick, and so I'm going to reread it again and help me in my memorization of MCS's vision. Every student graduates with skills, knowledge, and the character traits essential to thrive and contribute to our society. To alignment to district goals, so I'm fairly new to the district, I'm a little over 30 days, and so I'm quickly learning that goal 1 is essential to what we do in expanded learning, and that is to create the academic achievement to ensure equitable access and enable all students to attain college and career readiness. These goals then lead for the existence of expanded learning summer program, and that is to extend the academic school year in order to offer and provide academic support, offer opportunities for enrichment, and enhance the social and emotional needs of Modesto City School students. An overview of the expanded learning summer programs. The summer programs included early childhood education, Summer Bridge, summer programs at all sites, which included TK6 remediation, TK12 expanded learning for special education students, 712 second education credit recovery, TK12 enrichment opportunities, and last but not least, K6 migrant education support. In person, so this slide specifically speaks to the early childhood education. We offered an opportunity for our students transitioning from transitional kindergarten to kindergarten, and this was in person. We also provided the instructional focus, which included social and emotional development and early literacy and mathematics. This program served 200 students at 9 sites, and we're proud to say that 91% of the students showed growth in kinder readiness as measured by the KSELP, which is an assessment tool for those particular grade levels. Virtual early childhood education continued. The summer program also provided a website, which provided access and engaging opportunities for families. 600 backpacks were provided with hands-on learning activities and instructional materials to students in TK and K. Additionally, videos and activities were offered to promote kinder readiness, again, also virtual. TK expanded summer programs were available at 22 sites, elementary sites, and that was led by expanded learning site coordinators and site administration along with site managers. There was a remedial focus in ELA, ELD, and SWAN math. And then along with that was an MTSS focus on reading intervention. Also, there were TK6 enrichment opportunities and K6 migrant education summer programs. Again, focusing on our elementary students, there were over 2,500 students who participated, up 245 students from last summer. Additionally, migrant education services were provided to students eligible for the service from 12:30 to 3:30 p.m. And on this slide, you can see the growth between 21-22 to 22-23 this last summer, again serving nearly 2,600 students. This Board of Trustees, this information was available in your packet, but I want to highlight one of the quotes from one of the teachers who participated in our summer program, and that being the last quote. My favorite part of providing enrichment for our MCS students was building relationships and watching students grow and improve their reading fluency. Next, I'd like to focus on secondary remedial for grade 7-12. This particular program was coordinated by site administration. This was offered to all high school and junior high school students. With this program, we had 2,387 high school students, up 748 students, and 320 junior high school students, again, up 30 students who received credit through our virtual program, which is a partnership with Florida Virtual School, also known as FLVS. And there were a total of 14,454 total credits earned this summer, which is up 608 credits from last summer. Special education, again, these is for students who qualify for special education services through an IEP. They had the opportunity to participate in extended school year, also popularly known as ESY. Provided the service to pre-K to age 22 for our adult students. Elementary students, we had 314 students who participated, up 66 students from last summer. In our secondary, we had 154 students, and this program was offered at Bayer, up 57 students, and then the breakdown, 18 junior high, 94 high school students, and we have 42 of our adult students in our transitional program. Special education recovery, this was a parallel program offered at Bayer High School, Davis, Downey, Enox, and Modesto. We had over 810 credits were recovered by students. That's a total of 162. One that I'd like to highlight is 34 additional credits were received and recovered by students via ESY this summer. Now I'd like to focus on enrichment programs, TK-12, intended for all students needed engagement, but not necessarily credit recovery or remediation. So these are your fun, engaging opportunities for students who did not need any type of credit recovery, although students were allowed to enroll in both programs. If they needed credit recovery, they also had the opportunity to enroll in our enrichment opportunities. These opportunities were highly engaging, fun, academic opportunities for students to re-engage with in-person learning. And this is data that we're really proud of. There were 161 enrichment programs, which are up 22 from last summer. And these programs were offered until 5 p.m. And you can see the breakdown there. So between 2021 to this summer, we had 1,600 additional opportunities for students to have some level of enrichment this summer. Again, one additional quote that I'd like to read regarding a teacher participating in enrichment. This was a great opportunity to listen to my students and enjoy their creativity. As you can imagine, sometimes it's a little hard to enjoy the fun of teaching with everything that takes place during the school year. And so summer does give us the opportunity for students to enjoy what they do along with our teaching staff as well. An exit survey from students that speaks to this point, the feeling of having support there if you need it, as well as the teacher being interactive and involved. And again, 97, just based on our exit survey, 97% of the students stated they enjoyed the enrichment activity that they chose. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our partners, but before that, I'd like to acknowledge the work by Modesto Teachers Association and the partnership that we have with them, along with CSEA, with having the opportunity to provide staff to participate in our summer programs it goes without saying. Without them, we could not make these opportunities available for our students. But we also on this slide have images of all of our partners. Let me rephrase that. We're missing some partners who don't necessarily have a logo, but for those partners that do, we were able to highlight them here. And then the ongoing relationship that we have with the Boys and Girls Club, the Stanislaus Police Activities League, through the Sheriff's Department. It goes without saying that they're wonderful partners to work with. Next steps, as we continue to look at how to address the needs for next year, and so we start programming and planning next month. But that's to keep the momentum going, as you saw in the slides, and the enrollment has gone up, and we want to continue to support the momentum. Expand vertical supports for students as they transition from one grade level to the next. Expand community partnerships, and hopefully that we can get multiple slides with logos from our partners. Enhance connection and engagement opportunities for students. And something that I'm super excited about is expand bridge opportunities for students as they transition from TK to K, 6 to 7, and 8 to 9. And so creating those bridge opportunities. And one quote that I kept hearing over and over from my predecessor, who's now a senior director overseeing our area, is that expanded learning and enrichment opportunities work. And that's a quote that Tony Lomelli made very clear to me from my day one when I first met with him this summer as I transitioned to my new position. Next steps continued. We would like to pilot. I'll start by saying this. This summer when in hearing Dr. Noguchi's presentation to certificated staff and administration regarding the need to look at our rigor and to challenge us and asking what can we do more for students and giving them that first dose quality instruction. And so it's giving the opportunity to pilot something that we're calling a first look opportunities in grades 9-12. And these opportunities would be in order to accelerate higher placement courses, for an example, would be for students to take geometry in preparation for Algebra 2, and looking at those gatekeepers to post-secondary education, right? And so many universities provide an opportunity for students to take one course, either in the summer or in a winter-type session, where it prepares them for another level, more rigorous course. In order to do this, our goal is to convene a committee to review potential offerings within Modesto City Schools, and then also looking with our counseling and teaching staff and looking at the logistics of what that would look like in the summer for our students. And at this point, I'd like to yield the floor back to President Brown.
Yes, any public comment regarding the extended learning programs this summer? Seeing none. Mr. Peterson, no comments, huh? You're our public. All righty. Any comments or questions from the board? Trustee Maestas.
Yeah, thank you for the report. Just the amount of students that need someplace to be and to go, to have the opportunities that we've given the students for summer is just, at this meeting, we talked a lot about the opportunities that we've given to our kids this summer, starting with nutrition and feeding our community to educating our community and having a safe place for kids to go. I'm really excited about this idea of first look. I actually did this when I was teaching it's years ago that I did this. But I remember I had, at the school I was teaching, I had 7 students in AP Calculus. And I said, the only way we're going to get kids to AP Calculus is to have some sort of class that they can take in the summer to move them forward. So I spent my 2 summers in a row, teaching geometry and Algebra 2, and even like an intro pre-calculus class that I had already started talking to freshmen about taking to get to calculus. And 3 years later, we had 32 students, and 4 years later, we had 2 sections of AP Calculus at that school. So it can be done, and it changes the lives for many, many students and giving them opportunities. So I guess this is more a comment suggestion. Spanish, if we can get a Spanish teacher, I think Spanish would be a great course to offer in the summer. I'm also thinking kids that can't take a 0 period for some reason, A through G, I think is going to really be is going to be the big winner here, because I know that there are parents out there that I've talked to that have struggled with, like, how do we get our kids to be competitive with others as they're going to college? There's this thought that they have to take a 0 and they have to take an after-school class and they have to be going to school from 7:30 to 5 o'clock just to make it to college. And offering A through G courses in the summer, things like Spanish or, I'm just going to say Spanish, but there's others that they can take over the summer will be helpful for them to kind of advance and have those openings during the day that they can take more things. So I'm really excited. I can't wait to hear more about that as we move forward in the next few years. That's it. Thanks.
Trustee Marks.
I just had to say that I love that we had so many opportunities for our students to take advantage of this, and even more took advantage this year. So I'm always like, oh, can we keep this, So I want to see us keep going. And then this quote by this teacher on the remediation, I just had to read it, even though you didn't read it, but I was really impressed with it when I had read it earlier. before tonight. I was just like, oh yeah, I just love this. So the teacher said, having the students understand the usefulness of math. Most students ask why they need to learn certain curriculum. So I wanted to show them how sports utilizes math in multiple aspects. They seemed to understand and like this concept and became competitive to higher their scores for higher averages, which is really neat because they were connecting it. And I think when students are doing that, and that's why I believe the pathways are so important, is because students are connecting it with real life. Like what, sitting in class, why am I learning this? Well, you're going to use it. And no, I'm not. Well, just look at the sports. What are you excited in? And then finding out that the math connects with that. And I just think it's so great that this teacher was able to see that. And when you watch a student get excited, I think it just makes your experience as a teacher even more valuable. So I thought that was great. But to see all these students taking advantage of this, I hope we even get more next year because it just helps them and helps in their future. And I think as they get those skills, it's really going to benefit them for college, career, whatever their next steps are. So thanks for overseeing this and making, working towards a future where we're going with the first look too. I thought that was good. So thank you.
Thank you.
Student Representative Akwayi.
Thank you. I was just really encouraged by the Next Steps efforts to include classes that can help propel students to advanced classes, and that was just really nice to see. I was also wondering, in our Next Steps, as we expand the expanded learning summer schools, if it's also possible for students to take elective courses, sort of like Trustee Maestas was saying, so that they can have more flexibility in their schedules during the school year. And then also for part of enrichment or just expanded summer learning for, especially for high school students, if it would be possible to include resources for college readiness, so whether it's helping students prepare for applications or just information on the financial aspects of college, or even maybe field trips to college tours for California schools especially. I think that would probably be very helpful and help kids get an advantage throughout their high school years and getting ready for college.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, President Brown. I was just going to acknowledge, my hope is also to seek out the student voice and then go to a few high schools to be able to interview a few students to see what their perspective is as well. So that insight is wonderful because college preparation and readiness, as you know, is kind of scary for a lot of students. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Mejia.
Yeah, great report. I'm kind of encouraged, and like I said, I was able to see some of the stuff live with some of the field trips. So yeah, I'm also encouraged, and hopefully real soon the dual enrollment can also be played into summer. And I think it'll be great. I think I was lining up with some representative about the importance of like doing that, getting ready in the summer. That way you're ready to take those courses in the fall. So I think that would be great. And I'm just super excited that you, in your next steps, you guys have more partnerships, and you're doing a wonderful job. And I hope we do have 3 pages in the coming future, especially because when things change in terms of funding, if some of these partners, remain, they can remain strong with us and be able to provide that support when some of this funding may go away eventually. So I'm excited, and thank you for all your work, you and all your team. And welcome again.
Thank you.
To the
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Vice President Irvin.
Well, welcome aboard, Dr. Rumayor.
Thank you.
My question I like to see what's happening with our back. I'm the one who started the after-school programs in this district back in 1998. And one of the things we were all kind of, and I was also a part of the team that was on the legislative for the ACES, the After School for All legislation and things like that. And I remember in our discussions in Sacramento, we didn't want it to become too academic. We didn't want it to look like the classroom that they just got out of, because, they were turned off, if we were just extending their class time. And so we had to make it look like, we wanted a balanced approach And I've, over the years, I have seen that the expansion and the growth, which was on our biggest things, is like, man, we got 100 slots, I got 100 kids waiting to get into the programs, and I see that they're expanding them and being able to allow more students, but making the enrichment of that have a sort of a duality purpose. You can have that academic support and rigor to a degree, depending on what you're taking and doing, but you can also have that enrichment aspect of it as well. And so that's really good to see, and I hope we continue on that continuum to be able to elevate our programs to a level that, begins to say that they're really complementary of the classroom, but that they're not of the classroom, And then hopefully we can, start to say we're reinforcing the classroom experience through the enrichment and through using various learning styles and modalities and things like that. And so, definitely encouraged about that. And, gone are the days. I know you see me on the front, I was on the front page of the Bee playing red light, green light with the Orville Wright students back in the early 2000s. We've come a long way. And so I am, happy to say that, this is all encouraging, that we have morphed into something that is bringing positive results to our students, to our families, and to our staff in our district. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Trustee Maestas.
Yeah, Trustee Irvin, Vice President Irvin reminded me about just one caution that I want to say is that that I want to be careful that it doesn't become a requirement for something in a regular school year. Because I know in the past I've known instructors that have said, "Oh, you have to come to my summer thing for 3 weeks in order to be in my class," and that we want to be very careful not making that a requirement to come to the summer to be in a course. That's just a comment.
I did have one question.
Yes, sir.
As I was very pleased to see that we had growth in all of our programs over the previous year. And we were very pleased with the results that we had that first year where we were able to provide these programs. I want to just delve into that growth a little bit and try to figure out where it came from and how well we did at reaching some of our most disadvantaged students. Did we have increases in our English learners in participation? And are there areas where we can expand there to a greater degree so that we can help them advance more quickly in the school year?
Sure.
Yeah, we can provide more communication, but I would tell you the target audience for where we go into remediation is definitely the kids that you're referring to. Some at-risk kids, some kids that need some targeted English language development, mathematics, and reading skills. We start with the kids that need it the most and work our way up from there.
That's great. And if we can just see that that's where we're getting the growth in numbers, I'd really like to be able to see that so that we can continue to reinforce that effort. That's really where we need to place the emphasis, and appreciate all the good work that's happened. Appreciate the fact that we don't have as much of the summer brain drain as has happened when we didn't have these programs in place. And our kids are back and ready and enthusiastic about learning, and we appreciate all the efforts that happened in the summertime to keep that going.
Thank you. Thank you, President Brown.
So thank you. Great report. And let's see, do we have anything in item G2, items to be placed on future board meeting agendas? Do I hear a motion to adjourn this meeting? Motion by Trustee Mejia, second. Everybody seconded. But anyway, we still have to vote. Those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Have a good night.